it all. The double overtime up until 1 o'clock in the morning. You can call at 315-443-2011. Sam and Austin, what a day, what a season.
Absolutely fantastic way to end the season, Tyler. Fantastic work from yourself, Ian and Andrew, all the way out on the West Coast in San Diego. We really appreciate it. And back here in our Ostrom Avenue studios, we are gearing up for the double overtime. As Tyler mentioned, Austin and I will be chopping it up until 1 a.m. after a Syracuse win, 52-35, Austin. The first bowl win for the Orange since 2018, first 10-win season as well in that span. And my goodness, it was a fitting way to end the season with none other than Kyle McCord going off for 453 passing yards. I may or may not have called that in McCord Remodeling Countdown to kick off 5 touchdowns as well. This was kind of a storybook ending, as great of an ending as you could have imagined, right?
I agree. It was so many positives from this game, and now the whole season and the Fran Brown, the first year with him, kind of crystallizes, right? Now, we will also talk, more big picture stuff moving forward to next season. Might touch on some special teams miscues, because that was a theme of today and the season, and what might be down the road as well. But overall, a lot of positives with this team and a great win for the Cuse.
52-35 again, the final score. Tyler just mentioned it moments ago. Our host and reporter out in San Diego, Tyler Aiken, will be joining us later on in the show within the next hour. You won't want to miss it. Get that caffeine in you, sit up in your chair or car. We've got you till 1 a.m. It's the double overtime, and it starts right now.
Game may be over, but our coverage on WAER is not. Here on the double overtime, we'll be breaking down all the highs.
Handoff Allen. No, he keeps it. Naked bull leg. Schrader walks into the end zone on the near side, and Syracuse strikes first.
Gives to Allen. He's got a lane up the middle. Breaks a tackle, and into the end zone for an Orange touchdown.
And that will do it inside the dome. Syracuse starts 4-0 in consecutive seasons for the first time since the 1959 and 1960 seasons.
And the lows.
From opening kick, number 14 North Carolina dominated in all 3 phases and takes down Syracuse 40-7.
Del Rio Wilson to throw. Over the middle. Tipped and intercepted. Ball game for Boston College.
In a season where SU's top target was out for the season in week 2. Its quarterback tearing its shoulder in October, and Dino Babers getting fired in November. The 2023 Syracuse football campaign ends in December. South Florida takes down Syracuse in the Boca Raton Bowl 45-0.
Delivering our hottest takes along the way.
First 4 games was a great team. The last 3 games was a very bad team. And right now, I have little to no faith in where this Orange team is at.
National television. 4 games in a row. Millions and millions of people have watched Syracuse football over the last month. You have looked terrible in front of a national audience. America has seen Syracuse football fall on its face for a month.
Fran Brown is a home run hire for Syracuse.
Get your voice heard by calling in at 315-443-2011 or by tweeting us at WAER Sports Talk. It's the double overtime, and it starts right now.
Oh, it sure does start right now. The final double overtime of the 2024 football season. Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. That's how the saying goes, right, Austin?
Yes.
Sam Reese and Austin Barrick with you. It's late night, early morning, double overtime. We're with you until 1 a.m. as Syracuse takes down Washington State 52-35 in the Holiday Bowl. The Orange get their first bowl win since 2018. It's been a while. And before we get right into things, we want to hear from you. Call into the show, 315-443-2011. I know you guys are still on a high after this win, and there's some crazy night owls like myself and Austin. Give us a ring. Or you can text us, 315-556-3929 is where you can text us. You can also watch us on WAER Sports Talk on YouTube and interact with us at WAER Sports Talk on Twitter. All right, we are wasting no time, Austin. I wanted to let you talk, but we've already got a caller on the line.
Oh, yeah.
It's Joe from Buffalo. Joe, what do you got for us?
Here we go.
Austin, Dan, it is fantastic to be on 88.3 tonight. First of all, WAER always goes undefeated. Even though Syracuse football went 10-3 this year, AER goes 13-0. Proud of everyone in this station. I mean, you guys did a great job covering the team this year. Now let's talk about this amazing team and this amazing season. Sam, you said that, smile because, don't cry because it's over, smile because it's happened. I want to do both. Do both right now.
I know you will.
Because what I just witnessed over the last 3 months of this calendar year may have just saved this university. This university. I mean, this university is never in a problem. But let's be honest. This quarterback and what he has done for this area should be remembered forever.
Yep.
I could not be prouder to be a Syracuse football fan. I mean, I've been, I've been a Syracuse fan my whole life. Living out in Buffalo, I'm kind of, the guy who wasn't rooting for the Bears all the time, rooting for the Orange. Syracuse football comes around, and there's nothing to be proud of. And this year, what Kyle McCord brought to this area should be remembered forever, and he should put a smile on every single Syracuse fan's face who's listening tonight.
Joe, I can hear the passion in your voice as always. I can hear you almost smile and cry, almost like a Jimmy V kind of day for you over there.
I'm here to hear right now.
Yes. So you talked about the context of this, and this is what I talked about with Tyler at halftime. I want people to tell us how this season, the people who have been through it like you. We just heard your voice close out the Boca Raton Bowl on the Open. 45-0 last year.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sure. Fourth wall, what up?
I'm from Buffalo, yeah.
But from what it was a year ago to what it is now, how do you put in perspective what Kyle McCord and Fran Brown have done in this 1 year to, erase the hard memories of the last decade? Where does your mind go when you think about the quarterback play of this program?
Yeah, well, I think, I was sitting watching with my family today, post-Christmas celebration, and we turn on Fox and I hear Gus Johnson's voice. And I'm thinking to myself, when's the last time Syracuse has had a number one Fox, ESPN broadcast team on their game? I mean, obviously I'm listening to the game on AER, so I don't pay attention. But I do hear that Gus Johnson's on the game. And I'm talking about this with my dad, and I'm saying, this is going to get people caring about Syracuse football. There's people in restaurants and at bars and all around the country that just have Fox on. I'm not talking about Fox Sports, just Fox. And they just fall into a Syracuse football game with their number one broadcast team on the call and put up 50 points with their quarterback throwing over 400 yards and for 5 touchdowns. Like, how could anyone just be watching college football, see that on the TV, and say, oh, yeah, that's a boring product? No! This is the best Syracuse football has looked
It rocks.
in a long time, even in this millennium. I think that a win like this, yes, it's a holiday bowl. No one, they're not raising banners for this one, unlike the Boca Raton Bowl last year. But you're still smiling. You're still happy with the product on the field. And what this does is just puts Syracuse University, Syracuse football on the map. And then when people are looking at your college game days next year and your number one quarterbacks in the transfer portal, you got to think about that Syracuse team, what that Fran Brown guy's doing over there. Like that's the kind of difference maker this game was today.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it, Joe. And we could certainly talk to you all night long, but we can feel that smile. Even though we can't see you, I can sense that big smile on your face right now. We really appreciate you calling in as always and getting your perspective. Great to hear from you, man, and enjoy the rest of your night/morning basking in the Syracuse win, Joe. All right, we appreciate Joe calling in once again. If you want to also call into the show, 315-443-2011 is the number to call into. And we have another caller already, Austin. I told you, people are still on the high of this win. It doesn't matter that it's late night, early morning here in the 315. I guess you could say that. Jake from Syracuse is now on the line. Jake, how's it going?
Hey, fellas, I'm doing great. Let me set the scene for you here. I'm down here in South Florida. I'm in Key West. It's pouring rain, and we're in the Peter Millar Syracuse pullover, and I've been at the bars, and people have been loving the orange at the bars. They love Fran Brown. They love the dart. They love the winners get washed. They love the wins. I mean, what a season. A 10-win season for the boys. Just going out there playing terrible defense, running cover 3 on 3rd and 4, giving up a slant for a 35-yard touchdown. But who cares? Who cares? Because Kyle McCord unseated Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, you suck, man. I don't even have to expand on that.
No, you don't.
Kyle McCord, love him being the ACC leading passer. I mean, what a story. For him to leave Ohio State and Ryan Day, who just not a bad, not a good situation there, just to come to Syracuse and light it up. You just got to love it, boys. You just got to love it. What do you guys think about this Syracuse program going forward?
Well, I think you got to take a micro and macro perspective, Jake. And I love the passion there from Key West. Sounds like you had a great night there.
Love it.
I think that what Fran Brown has instituted here is legit. And you probably won't have McCord next year. And that is tangibly disappointing. But what you do have is a culture that is built. A culture that is built on winning, about relationships, about authentic relationships. When you hear Fran Brown speak, from the moment he took the podium last November, December, whatever it was, you could feel it. There was not an ounce of insincerity in what he spoke with, and that translated to wins. It translated to players, the number one recruiter. And so when you close your eyes and you think this whole offseason, Jake, you think, okay, maybe if the best case scenario, this becomes a college football playoff team with how the rules are structured, and this team was a couple bounces away from potentially maybe playing in the ACC title game. But to get the 10 wins, first time since 2018, but to have better players, better recruits, and a really good coaching staff that is supposedly sticking around to Fran Brown right now. The schedule next year is really brutal, but the near future, I feel really optimistic, Jake.
I love it. I love it, Austin. I love your optimism. I love being optimistic, and I love that winners get washed. Speaking of that, I'm going to go get washed. It's pretty sweaty down here, fellas. You guys are up there in the cold Syracuse. I'm going to go get washed because I'm a winner, and Syracuse is a winner tonight, and I just love ending on that. And I hope you fellas have a fantastic, fantastic night. I'm going to go get washed. Let's go Orange, baby.
That's awesome, Jake.
You have a fantastic night as well, Jake. We really appreciate the call. Love that optimism. We need more people like that in this world, Austin, these days. And Jake, certainly I'm jealous of you down in that warm weather in Florida, but you take care. And again, we really appreciate the call. It's Sam Reese and Austin Barrick with you here in cold Central New York in our Ostrom Avenue studio, reacting to SU's 52-35 win over Washington State in the Holiday Bowl out in San Diego. Austin, 2 callers off the rip, very passionate about this win. You can tell what it means for fans like this.
You can. It's man, to grow up and it's, we can't totally relate to it. We've been around here for multiple years. I remember getting here and being like, okay, Tommy DeVito is the guy. And then he was playing Rutgers, and it was 2021. It was the first home game, and he gets knocked out, and here comes Garrett Schrader. And Schrader, I honestly thought was a really good quarterback. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to go down this road, but honestly, hearing those first 2 callers and the energy, the passion they spoke with, makes me want to talk about this stuff. And, maybe we got another guy I want to talk about this quarterback.
Well, let's make it 3 callers. You got to love it, Austin. Mark from Mattydale up next. Mark, it's always great to hear from you. What do you got for us tonight?
Hi, guys. I could cheer and say yay all night. I'm so happy. Just thanks for John hiring Fran for coming, Kyle for coming, all the other players, and 10 wins. Deshaun, you're not number 1 ACC single season anymore. Kyle is. And touchdown passes record. It's just been great. And, Fran, he isn't satisfied. You know what he really wants? He wants to be in the CFP, the College Football Playoff Tournament.
Yep.
We got to dream big next year, 2025.
And, Mark, I want to ask you, again, of course, every Syracuse fan has every right to celebrate for at least a couple of days this 10-win season, something the Orange haven't done in the last 6 years. But you just mentioned CFP, and we know Fran Brown has those aspirations of making the playoff. How realistic is it, do you feel, that this team could be a playoff team as soon as next year? And do you think that mainly relies on whether or not McCord gets that waiver approved and comes back?
Yeah, that's part of it, but also remember, Fran's the number one recruiter, so I do know, though, I heard the road schedule. We got to go to Notre Dame, SMU, Miami, Georgia Tech, and one other team. So,
Yeah, Clemson, I think.
Clemson, that's the fifth. So, I think
easy.
right now we're the only ACC team to win a bowl game, though, right now.
That is correct.
Right, yes.
Yay!
Yes, somehow Syracuse is the only ACC team to win a bowl game this year, and yet next year's schedule is like the ridiculously hard thing of all time. But it's just how it works. A lot of it does come down to the quarterback play. Sadly, like the game of football becomes, do you have a quarterback or do you not have a quarterback, Mark? But I don't know. Why not feel optimistic right now?
Yeah, and you know what? Let's just hope we get the recruiting where we can go to those places and turn it into our towns for one day.
Right. It's a very good point, and certainly reasons to be optimistic. And why not, after a night like this and getting 10 wins on the season, saying why can't Syracuse be a place that teams fear to come, and maybe this could be a host of a playoff game. It's you might say that's crazy to say, but who knows? Mark, we really appreciate you calling in. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your night. Yep. All right, thanks to Mark, a regular caller here to the double overtime. And again, caller number 3 and the same sort of passion and optimism. It's really cool to hear that, Austin. And again, you mentioned it off the top a little bit. Was everything perfect? No. I mean, this team, Syracuse allowed 35 points in this game. It was basically an offensive showdown on both sides of the ball. But at the end of the day, Syracuse got the job done, got that 10th win, which Fran Brown had in mind for this team. And he said yesterday in the press conference leading up to the Holiday Bowl that, this is not a successful season yet. He was asked, and he was very serious, saying, we need to win this game, or else, everything else doesn't matter. And to their credit, they went out there and got the job done tonight. There's really not much you can pick at, considering the task at hand was to get that bowl win against something Syracuse hasn't done since 2018, and they did it. I don't care that the opponent was missing 32 guys.
Yes, what they have done all season, at least publicly, is they respect their opponent. Yes. Fran Brown has been, every time he introduces the opponent, he goes to the head coach, the notable players on each side. I love the way this guy plays. I got a connection to this guy over here.
Yeah, he names everyone.
He's got it all right. It's awesome. And even though they were down 32 guys, Washington State was, per 24/7 Sports. They lost their quarterback to Oklahoma, their head coach to Wake Forest, their starting running back, all this and all that. Washington State came out. They scored a touchdown right away.
Came to play.
And so, like, we could sit here and be like, okay, well, the defense was bad. The special teams had this go. The punt,
sure.
the blocked punt for the touchdown was bad.
Yeah.
But at the same token, the return game was really good.
Yeah.
And we could pick that apart. But it was all about the 10th win, like you said. And I do want to touch on some McCord stuff as well here. I thought, we talked about, and he said it too, full circle, right? After the Miami win and his former team losing to Michigan that day, Ohio State. I thought it was cool that in the first series, he did an ode to the to the Ohio game, the opener. He went 0 for 3 passing on the first drive. And I remember
That's a good point.
Actual people saying, oh no, Kyle McCord, this could be a bad season based off a disappointing first drive of the season against the Ohio Bobcats. I remember this happening on August 31st. We can now crystallize the whole season. And I can also say, what was McCord's worst game? By far, the Pitt game on a Thursday night.
Easily,
coming off the bye, 5 interceptions. Well, in an ode to the 5 picks that night, for the first time this season, he tossed 5 touchdown passes. It all comes full circle. Kyle McCord, every time you think he can't have a better game, he just does. And sure, Wazoo is missing all their guys. Guess what? 5 years from now, no one's going to remember that. No one's going to care that Wazoo was missing their guys. They're going to remember how Kyle McCord and the Syracuse team made them feel for this night right after Christmas.
That's a great way to put it, Austin. And to go off of that, you mentioned that opening drive against Ohio where 3 incompletions right away to start, and everyone's freaking out already. If I'm not mistaken, he started tonight 0 for 3.
Yes, exactly.
He goes on for 453 pass yards,
You called
5
it.
touchdowns. I may or may not
I'll give you
have
the
called
credit,
it. I
Sam.
appreciate it.
I'll give you the credit pregame. You called it.
Once in a while, I get lucky and I sound smart. It's rare. I got lucky. A Christmas miracle, you could call it,
you didn't get
Austin.
lucky. You didn't get lucky.
Okay,
You called it.
I'll give myself a little more credit. I did call that.
Yeah.
Pat on the back. And you're right. I mean, for Kyle McCord, you got to give him all of his flowers. I love how multiple callers now have also taken a jab at Deshaun Watson as McCord passed Deshaun Watson, former Clemson quarterback, for the all-time single-season passing yards record for any ACC quarterback. What a feat for McCord to do this. And Austin, you talked about the Pitt game where he struggled, and he bounced back after that, and has consistently delivered for this team, really, outside of that one really bad game against Pitt. Make no mistake about it. But just for him to be dumped off basically by Ohio State and say, we don't need you, that can be tough for a player that's playing, with the Buckeyes, a prestigious program like that, and everything feels good. You're the starting quarterback at a place like that. And then you got to find somewhere else to play and kind of revive your college career. And McCord has said it multiple times. Going to Syracuse was the best decision he could have made. It's great to see him so happy, and the way he's had a historic season, let's be real, for this Orange team in potentially the only season he'll play for Syracuse. As of now, it is. Again, he's battling for potentially an extra year of eligibility. That remains in the balance, but as of now, this is it for him. And boy, did he make the most of his 1 year in the 315 if this is all.
Oh, he did. And so Kevin Hoke replied to one of our tweets. You can follow our content here at WAER Sports Talk. He replied saying, Kyle McCord should be on the Mount Rushmore of Syracuse QBs. Now, I think that means career-wise, right? Because it is unquestionably Kyle McCord's 2024 season was the best single season in Syracuse quarterback history. That's not hyperbole. That's not really up for debate. If you want to talk about what this one season did in terms of the whole career, well, you got to think McNabb, right? Late 90s.
Sure. You
got to think McPherson. And I want to say the 80s. I want to say Dungy was great too. Nassib in the early 2010s. Somewhere in there, Kyle McCord, we weren't around to witness.
That's what makes it tough for us to answer it,
right.
Yeah.
But
it's a question worth bringing up.
He broke the single-season passing yards record by 1,000 yards.
For Syracuse, yes.
For Syracuse.
Yeah. That's unbelievable, by a landslide.
And you talked about how
this guy was balling out every game.
About with the Ohio State part of it, how most players, it would be difficult to rebound. Kyle McCord's not any ordinary player. And
correct.
A lot of this we
knew he was talented.
The relationship
he still
with
had
Fran
to go
Brown.
out there and get it done, yes.
These two
100%.
guys, and I know it's cliche and we're playing the results maybe off this first season.
Sure.
But these guys are winners. And throughout the year I've thought of this. Kyle McCord has lost just 4 collegiate games. Dating back to high school, I think he's only lost 6 or 7 since he took over. Fran Brown just coached at Georgia. They won back-to-back titles there. These guys just win. And when Fran Brown says, here, we don't have opt-outs. We play football.
Love that.
That stuff means something.
Yes.
And so when you talk about retaining good players, and sure, Jaden Bellamy left, and sure, Marcellus Barnes hit the portal as well, but most of these guys want to stay. Most of these guys are what it's about. Justin Barron, it's been harped on all season long. He wanted to stay. What an impact he had this season.
Well, yeah, and look at a guy like Barron tonight, where it looked like, again, I don't know what the exact injury was, but his nose did not look good.
No.
And he went down multiple times, but you could tell what it means for a person like him. Potentially a broken nose by the looks of it. Or Tyler Aiken,
like a WWE
saying
wrestler.
Yeah, exactly. He was down multiple times. That nose did not look like it was on straight, and he stayed in that game. Was still making plays late in the game. I mean, if that doesn't show you what the culture is all about right now for Syracuse football, a guy in Barron who could have left, could have moved on. and went on to other things. He said, I'm going to stay, play for Fran Brown, and look at the effort he put in today in his final collegiate game. That's the Syracuse way right there.
Syracuse, Fran Brown has talked a lot about putting the S back in Syracuse and Syracuse back on the map, and these are all phrases that sound great, but it's the wins at Cal, Miami 21-0, and today, where everyone kind of knew Syracuse was better.
Yes.
But to actually go out and do it, and the way they did it, playing the way they have all season, actions speak louder than words. And throughout the year, at least the majority of the year, and this team, honestly, after the Boston College loss, where they got out-toughed, right, that's a fork-in-the-road moment.
Yeah.
Right, you have to mention the pitfalls of this team, too, but they bounce back each time. And
I need to apologize as well, because I did not think they would bounce back after. Again, I was definitely too negative in the moment, but I was on the double overtime for that Boston College game, and I voiced my frustrations and did not see a world in which Syracuse would win its last 4 games, including that Miami game. I thought they didn't have a chance because I had seen them, lose that Stanford game at home and then go to a mediocre BC team and lose that game. And I said, that's the final straw for me. I think this is a disappointing season overall. I've completely flipped course, and I definitely have to apologize because I did not see that coming, and credit is due to this team. Massive credit, because they could have easily folded in that moment. They did not.
The game after the BC game, they were 10-point dogs at Cal.
Right, which is crazy.
Which is crazy in hindsight, but in the moment it felt right.
Yeah.
And one of the great marks of a team is, how do you respond to winning and how do you respond to losing? And in mid-October, they won back-to-back road games, UNLV and NC State. And after the NC State game, I said, this team is tangibly better than any season under Dino Babers. They never won back-to-back road games under Dino Babers.
No.
And then they lose to BC. And you're thinking, okay, right, like you said,
what just happened? Yeah,
right,
where
they
is
had
this
that comeback against Virginia Tech. Yep. They got killed by Pitt. So it's a 2 of the 3 game stretch where it's like, fourth-road moment. What do you do when you lose and you respond? And that was the week where Fran Brown did his winners get washed thing. Yeah, I don't shower after losses.
It's true.
And sometimes that stuff falls in deaf ears, but not with Fran Brown, not with this team. That speaks to the culture. And what happens when you lose, you respond, and you handle losing really well. This team handled the emotions of winning and losing especially well, and it just speaks to the culture of the head coach.
A successful season, I think we can agree on. When all is said and done, looking big picture at this season, Syracuse finishes the campaign with a 10-3 overall record, capped off by tonight's Holiday Bowl victory, 52-35 over Washington State. It's been a whole lot of fun so far in the double overtime, but we've still got about 25 minutes left in the show. Again, we're with you until 1 a.m. For now, a quick break, but on the other side, we'll have our reporter Tyler Aiken joining us from beautiful San Diego. Stick around.
A writer/cellist traveled Europe to uncover the stories of remarkable forgotten cellists and to answer this question for herself.
What does this instrument mean to us? The thing that we are closest to for most of our lives.
Kate Kennedy's new book, Cello. Also a year-end roundup of romance novels to keep you warm. Sunday on Weekend Edition from NPR News.
Sunday morning from 8 to 10 on WAER.
Start your Sunday mornings off right with Sunday Morning Gospel from 6 to 8 a.m. right here on WAER. Hosted by Cora Thomas, the program features some of the best local and national gospel artists. You'll hear everyone from Daryl Coley to the Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir to the Winans family. More information is available online at WAER.org. Join us Sunday mornings from 6 to 8 a.m. for Sunday Morning Gospel on 88.3 FM WAER.
Play action. Pump fake. McCord heaves it to a wide open Pena, and he makes the catch, leaping on the right sideline for the record breaker. Kyle McCord in his most likely only season with the Orange. The most passing yards in ACC history.
Hall of Fame, a fitting song choice for a season of brilliance from quarterback Kyle McCord. Syracuse wins the Holiday Bowl, reaches 10 wins for the first time since 2018 tonight with a 52-35 win over Washington State. We now are joined by Tyler Aiken, who I'm not really sure what his title is tonight. The man of many hats,
Mr. Do-It-All.
Yeah, the sports director, if you will. He hosted. He did a lot of stuff for us. He's also our, talk reporter as well down there. Got some good interactions on some of the tweets tonight. Tyler, we can go a lot of different ways here, man. First of all, how are you? How was the whole eggnog celebration thing after the game?
So in the moment, I kind of missed the trickery by Fran Brown.
Oh.
So him and Joey Chestnut were ready to dump it forwards to the front of the stage onto Dan Villari, as was promised beforehand. And then they count down 3, 2, 1. Fran Brown locks eyes with Joey Chestnut, turns around. The team is behind him, and they dump the eggnog on, it probably hit 6 or 7 players behind him.
Wow.
So, it was a good move out of him, pretty trickery. I will say he backed out of getting it dumped on him because he's allergic to eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Does he know about the egg allergies of people that were potentially standing behind him? I don't know. I'll give him the pass because it was a pretty elite move out of him. But, yeah, the energy here is quite wonderful. There's plenty of fireworks going on right now. We're entering the 35th minute of the fireworks show. It is, oh, my goodness. It is, I'm sorry, it's just like hitting the end right here.
35 minutes? This is the 4th of July? Oh, my gosh.
Dude, it's absolutely insane. Shout out Snapdragon Stadium for the hospitality.
Yeah, sure. Sounds like a whole lot of fun
electric.
there. DirecTV Holiday Bowl. Tyler, this game was one where Syracuse really put its, foot on the pedal, if you will, starting in the second quarter. How pleased were you? Sam and I were just talking about the whole season, all this stuff. How pleased were you that Syracuse finished what they started this season by playing a really good last 45 minutes of football?
It's everything that Fran Brown promised before the year, promised going into the bowl season, where he said this is not a team that is going to just have guys back out for no reason, opt out for no reason. The players said all the right things about sticking together, and it just showed a level of continuity that is dying in a lot of parts of college football, where you've got guys leaving in the middle of the season. Thomas Castellanos, the quarterback at Boston College. You've got guys opting out for bowl games, and I understand they've got to do what's best for them. But Syracuse is not just trying to be a part of the pack. Fran Brown wants Syracuse to be a step above, and that means going above and beyond. Maybe playing in a game that you don't have to for yourself, but you have to for the team. And so it does a lot for the culture moving forward. It gets you to 10 wins, which is obviously nice. But as Joe, someone that called in earlier in the show, pointed out, you just proved yourself on a national stage. And there's been a lot of talk with the basketball program and national games. I think Syracuse is 3-10 over the last 2 seasons, the basketball team. Well, the football team just scored 50 points in front of America and said, hey, Fran Brown is here to stay, not just a one-year wonder. Now, he does have to prove that in his second year, but he's making this statement by winning today, by putting up that offensive performance, but more importantly, back to the culture. All of the players played throughout the game. There was conversation and questions, even by myself. Is Kyle McCord going to play one quarter, then sit? Is Aronde Gadsden going to? No. They played the whole game. And if Dino Babers was here, I'm not sure if they're playing the whole game. I'm not sure if they're in the game in the first place. So it's just such a breath of fresh air. It is really refreshing. It is.
Tyler, you just touched on something that really speaks to me, and I cannot wait to ask you this question.
Okay.
Because I've been thinking about this, and you would have great perspective on this. Is Syracuse a football school now?
I think it takes a long time to change things that, have been away for a certain amount of time. Syracuse has been a basketball school since the 1970s, so there's some inertia there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go so far as to say Syracuse is fully a football school now. But if the current trends are continuing where the basketball program is being driven into the ground and just failing year after year, and if the football team keeps beating expectations, then I don't see why not maybe a year or two away from being, hey, this is a football school. Now, you can have a football culture but not have the success. Like, the culture right now amongst students, amongst the community, is that the football team is much – they're more hyped about it. It's more successful. But I think what would really cement it is maybe an ACC championship game appearance, a college football playoff appearance. If the football team can say, hey, we've made the college football playoff more recently than you've made the NCAA tournament, that's when I think it's really locked in. I wouldn't go so far yet,
but
I don't see it not happening. Like, I totally think in a few years it will be that way. And boy, as someone that grew up watching the basketball team, I almost hope it doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah,
but
I know.
It would be hard to blame a Syracuse fan for saying I'm more bought into the football team right now. Because Fran Brown is leading the pack. There's something to believe in. Listen, I personally, just as an individual, am sick of Dart. I'm sick of it. But guess what? It works. Like, it's going to make some people annoyed because it's just repeated over and over again, but it's an identity. You can point at that and say, hey, this is what Syracuse is promising to do, and it's backing it up. And not to turn this into an indictment on the basketball team, but you can't do that with the basketball team. So the culture has moved in that direction. All you need to do is get a little bit more proof, a little bit more evidence on the field, and you're there, Austin.
I'm with you, Tyler, and obviously your perspective as a Syracuse area native much more meaningful than mine, but it's crazy that we're having that conversation. I think
it is.
You can admit that first and foremost, but a conversation worth having. But to your point, I think the next step for Syracuse football in really solidifying that possibility is, taking it to that next level and making a college football playoff, which, might be realistic going forward, especially if McCord's back for another year next season. We'll see about that. And focusing back on tonight's game, though, Tyler, you talked about players stepping up and playing for the team rather than themselves, and that's a big part of the buy-in of this group playing for Fran Brown. I mean, there was no better example of that than Justin Barron. Austin and I were talking about that just about 10 minutes ago here on the Double Overtime. Just what did you see from him tonight? Because, listening to the broadcast and seeing him on TV, he went down multiple times. That nose did not look right. He kept battling. He's the type of guy that's going to stay in no matter what he did. And not only that, he was still making plays late in that game. I mean, that was incredible, wasn't it?
I mean, Justin Barron is just the epitome of, what Syracuse is right now.
Yep.
Like, he got there before the rest of the team did. Last year, 2 years ago, he already was where the rest of the team is at right now. But you're right. Tonight was just the perfect display of toughness, and I can't make any official diagnosis, but you look at that nose. It is not uninjured. Blood's pouring out of it. He's pulled off the field 2-3 separate occasions and is begging to come back onto the field after that, standing next to the coaches until he gets the okay. And you're right, he did it. He did make an impact. And I remember speaking with him probably a week and a half ago. It was the last time the media was allowed to speak with players before the bowl game. And he just had such a fire under him. He talked about being embarrassed by the last two bowl games he played in. He had to go out.
Point.
He had to go out as one of the only good players that was sticking around with the program last year and get whooped 45-0 by South Florida. The year before that, he had to get embarrassed on a baseball field by Minnesota, a mediocre Golden Gophers squad. So he was pissed.
Yeah.
He was livid.
Yeah.
And he came out tonight, and everything that he was saying to me and the rest of the media a few weeks ago, you could see it on the field. There's just so many guys on this team, players and coaches, who you just appreciate them because they're authentic. They say something, and then they go do it. And it's so nice because we've had coaches in the past, that have said the right things. And we've had people in the past that have done the right things. But to just have a harmony between those two things, setting a high goal and achieving it, it just feels really nice. Now, it's going to get harder. Next year's schedule is rough. You guys were talking about it. But that's the type of schedule where no one can say you didn't earn what you get. If Syracuse has a successful season next year, there is nobody that can say Syracuse didn't earn it. And I'm excited for that. I really am, especially after what has happened to some really good programs this year, like Indiana and SMU that had good years, and people tried to discredit it. If Syracuse does what it needs to do next year, I don't see a world in which anyone can discredit that. When you got to play Tennessee and Notre Dame and everything.
Sure.
Like, that's just not a concern next year.
It's an unbelievable gauntlet on paper right now, 8 months out. I do want to go back to a couple specific points. You
Sure.
talking about Justin Barron, I mean, just the image that you paint there, Tyler. He just sounds like an MMA fighter that's been through 3 rounds of the octagon. Dana White, what's up? And he's just licking the wounds, and he's got those battle scars from the Pinstripe Bowl, the Boca Raton Bowl, and he was playing with a broken hand last year. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because he's that kind of fighter. And I also want to talk a bit more about the specific McCord game here. We talked about it a little bit at halftime, Tyler, but to me, and maybe it's because it's been 4 weeks since I've seen him play football. And now it might be a lifetime. But the memories last a lifetime.
That's right.
The zip that he had was crazy. I mean, throughout the second quarter, we had
NFL level.
Down the seam to Gadsden, short zip to Gill, the over-the-middle to Meek stuff, the left sideline stuff to Meeks, and the back-to-back. The chemistry between him and Jackson Meeks was unbelievable all year long, not to mention the back shoulder stuff to Trevor Pena.
He threw a pass 60 yards in the air.
And then that pass was, Andrew said, one of the best passes all season. I agree. Dropped like
the one to Gill in the
pass.
fourth quarter was crazy.
And the end of the half one where he threaded the needle to Gadsden, and then he was pumping his chest. That said it all right there. Tyler, that said it all to me right there.
It did. And Austin, I heard you debating right before I joined the show whether or not Kyle McCord is on the Mount Rushmore of Syracuse quarterbacks. You were saying it's not a debate that the season is the best, but is he the best? Listen, Don McPherson was a phenomenal quarterback in the 80s. Should have won the Heisman. That's a fact. He came in second. He was robbed. Donovan McNabb might have more NFL success than Kyle McCord. But you cannot make, in my opinion, a good argument that Kyle McCord is not the best quarterback to suit up for Syracuse. And I think you will see in the next few years, because of the legacy he leaves, he is the best, the most valuable, the most impactful, whatever word you want to use, he is the Syracuse football quarterback GOAT. He is. I'm willing to go and put my take out there and live with that, Austin. I understand that there are a lot of great quarterbacks in the history of Syracuse football, and I understand it's a different era. It's easier to accumulate the stats that he did. But he's the best. You cannot tell me that you've watched every game this season and did not really believe that. And I respect that you two didn't necessarily go there because you might not have grown up watching those quarterbacks, or at the very least learning about the quarterbacks, going through the stats growing up. So you might not just have the confidence to say it. But listen, as someone that was born and raised in Central New York, I'm giving you guys permission to ride with me on that. He is the best, and that's awesome. That doesn't discredit anyone in the past. But Kyle McCord is the greatest Syracuse quarterback of all time, and that is amazing.
Let's hop in and ride along with him, Austin.
That's one of the great double overtime speeches of all time.
I
Tyler,
agree.
If you give us one quick final word to top that from San Diego, what do you got for us?
There's just so much joy with Syracuse football right now, and over the next few months, you're going to have to sit through this basketball season. And to all of you listening right now, as someone that has no control over this basketball team, I apologize in advance for what you're going to have to witness. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And listen, Syracuse might lose that season opener against Tennessee next year. That does not mean that all of this is over. This Syracuse fan base needs to have some more faith in this program. And I think it's growing right now. But I'm concerned that Syracuse might lose some games against good teams next year and forget about all that happened this year and forget about the progress that's moving forward. Have some guts. Support the team when it struggles. Please, if you're going to be a fan, be a fan. This is a program on the rise, and you want to ride that wave, I promise. Remember how you feel tonight.
Yep.
All right? Remember how you feel December 27th, 2024. And make sure you keep that feeling next year when Syracuse football might struggle. Because 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you're going to be having that feeling a heck of a lot more.
Tyler, this is full circle for us. Started the season August 31st. I was like, let's bottle up this energy. I want this feeling to last forever. This feeling right now, too, recapping the season with you. Want to bottle up how I feel about this season forever. Sam and I certainly won't forget how we feel about this season. Tyler, thanks so much for reporting down there, San Diego. Safe flight back soon. We'll see you soon, man. Right now, we got our final words. Sam, why don't I kick it to you first? We've talked a lot about this program, what this season means. What do you got for your final word?
All right, well, there's some good and bad to it, Austin. And we really can't go anywhere but looking bigger picture and already to the future. And you might be saying, hey, I want to celebrate this win for a few days. You absolutely can. But as we put a wrap on the final double overtime of the 2024 football season, we won't be talking football again till the season opener, really, next year on these airwaves against Tennessee at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. So I'm immediately looking ahead to next season because you have to turn that page to the next season. And my final word, Austin, is that if McCord has a successful waiver appeal and he gets that appeal successful to the NCAA, all of a sudden I can't talk because it's almost 1 a.m, Austin. If he gets another season with the Syracuse team, the Orange are making the ACC championship game. And the reason I say that is because I think he absolutely proved this season that he is, without a doubt, one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And if he can get one more year, there's nothing telling me that he won't be as productive, if not more productive, believe it or not, than he was this season. And I think, with some weapons returning on the offensive side of the ball, of course, some question marks defensively, the Syracuse team has what it takes to be a top 2 team in this conference with McCord at the quarterback position, and I think they make that ACC championship game next year.
Wow.
Now, if McCord doesn't come back, and as of now, he won't be because he's still applying for that extra year of eligibility, I think the Syracuse team wins at most 7 games.
Wow.
And I know you can argue, hey, the quarterback position isn't that big of a deal, but it kind of is.
It is.
It is at the end of the day. And you're looking at next year without McCord, if that's the case, probably Ricky Collins is your starter. Now, highly touted 4-star recruit out of high school, but he's been a backup for his 2 years at LSU, only appeared in 4 games for a few snaps.
Probably learned a lot under Garrett Nussmeier.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about that. And he was at a good program there learning, but he hasn't had that real in-game experience yet. Now, it's good he has 3 years of eligibility left. That's a promising sign going forward. He'll be here for a little while, you have to assume. But next year, to throw him into the fire and have him as your quarterback as a starter for the first time in his career, going against the opponent Syracuse has to face, which includes 4 teams that were in this year's college football playoff, I don't see that being a recipe for success. And it's unfortunate that the schedule is as hard as it is, but that's why I say Syracuse wins 7 games at most if McCord isn't back leading this team as SU signal caller.
It's a wide range of outcomes.
It is.
But I can't blame you for how you think.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, the schedule is crazy. Just kind of the way some of these years shake out.
Yep.
But I think you are rooted in a lot of good places with where you're coming from with that. My final word is that this 2024 season from Kyle McCord and LaQuint Allen is one of the greatest quarterback-running back duo seasons in Syracuse football history. Now, like I mentioned the other day, I put together the the top 5 SU athlete seasons in my time here, counting just SU football, men's and women's basketball, men's and women's lacrosse. And at the time, Kyle McCord was my number 2 athlete season behind 2024 DeAsia Fair. This one might bump it over the top. It really might. I don't know. The computer, my rankings might have to think about it some more. LaQuinn Allen was my number 5, right behind 2023 Megan Tyrell. This one might put him over the top. 20 total touchdowns? I mean, this LaQuinn Allen season might go under the radar because of Kyle McCord. But together, these two guys, think about how many yards and touchdowns. LaQuinn was a beast today, beast all year. Same thing with McCord. This should not be forgotten. It won't be forgotten. But these two guys, what a special season from both of these players, the quarterback and the running back position. The offensive line was really good all season long. The skill guys were good. Defense made plays. But when you think about this season from Kyle McCord, I mean, 300-plus yards in all but one game. The 453 and 5 today.
Called it.
Jackson Meeks, after the game, said, quote, Kyle McCord changed my life.
Wow. That's crazy.
The impact that he has made on his teammates is awesome. I think LaQuinn Allen has been the rock of this team. The best pass catcher in the country from the running back position this season.
He was.
Per the stats, and the eye test will back it up, and he just runs hard. The UNLV game had a lot of that stuff too today. Just looked explosive. Just unbelievable season for McCord and Allen and this entire team.
I'm glad you gave Allen his flowers as well, because he was simply a beast, and to see the progress he's made as the starter the last couple of years now, I mean, the threat he poses a passing back.
Yeah.
There's no one really like him.
Nope.
And no one like McCord either, and this whole team deserves a whole lot of credit for what, at the end of the day, I think we can say was a successful season. And,
yes, it
and
was.
what a fun time it was here on these WAER airwaves, Austin.
Yes, it was, Sam. 10 wins for the Cuse football team. Tomorrow, we bring you men's basketball against Bucknell. Can the Orange get a win, move to 6-6? Find out at 1:30 for McClurg Remodeling Countdown to tip-off. 2 p.m. or just past 2 p.m. start time. Sam Reese, Luke Burgess on the call for that. The double overtime with myself and Jish until 6 p.m. By the way, you can listen to the Ostrom Avenue podcast wherever you get your episodes. Great work from Jordan Leonard, AJ Myers as well, Griffin Bloomstein. Thank yous to hand out Jish Sokolsky and AJ Myers tag teaming, the producing, Luke Burgess, our engineer, and in person for Desk, Josh Richardson, Dan Schaum, Milo Hoffman. Thank you, guys. Thank you to everybody. What a season for Syracuse football, the best in a long, long time. 10 wins, McCord. Awesome stuff. For Sam Reese, I'm Austin Barrick saying thank you. So long.
Peace out.